Because you're never too old to rock and roll.
I don't need no stinking sheet of paper for this man here, Ted Habeck.
Ted Habeck.
You know the name, you know the voice, you may not know the face.
Now you know the ugly face behind the voice. There's the face for radio.
You were so cute when you were
adorable, and you grew a ponytail.
You used to have the hair down here. You still got the hair, though.
Well, fortunately, yeah, I still have more hair than most of the people I grew up with. Yeah.
Most people watching this will remember you from 7 to midnight on Casey for so many years. You did some middays some points.
Yeah,
they may know you from WMRY. They may know you from the Arch.
They may know you because they might have been married to you.
That's a possibility too.
Let's not forget about the posters in the post office. Yes. Those are there.
And now you're on. Okay, I mean, it's ourmusicalroots.fm.
Well, you've actually got two homepages, really. Okay. You've got ourmusicalroots.com and theroots.fm, which will take you to either one of the homepages, at which point you can cross-reference between all three stations.
Okay, Groove and you're Jazz, the rock.
We're on the rock.
Yeah.
And then Radio Rich is doing the freeform classic rock, and then we've got Groove Jazz with Chris Kelly and a whole bunch of other people.
So hold on a second. Let me get this straight. So this is a web
it's all internet.
Web-based,
But, okay. And they basically recreated like some radio from our past.
You have Al Hofer?
Well, Al Hofer's there, Michelle Holliday's there, now Katie Cruz has joined us.
Cruz, yeah.
So it's a great lineup, and the cool thing about it is John Stevens, who owns the stations, when he first put this all together, he said, you've listened to most internet radio stations, they're just very dry and boring. They don't sound like real radio.
Yeah.
And they're not addressing a particular audience. So let's take this from that angle and just talk to people in St. Louis. And if they happen to hear us in Australia, great, big deal.
Sure.
That's the best way.
If you talk to John Stevens or Radio Rich, both of them will look you in the eye and say, we are going to have the best internet radio station on the planet.
Well, and I mean, the cool thing about internet radio, it's kind of hard sometimes when you're behind the microphone doing your voice tracking for the shows that you have to wrap your head around the fact that you're talking to people around the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we threw the station on like 3 days earlier than the actual launch date, quote unquote, just to stream the music. Because it had some issues, dead air and bad intros, all the things a computer's going to do for you.
All the DJ nightmares.
So 3 days of running just music, no voices or anything, and all the mistakes that were going on. And who do we get a tweet from? David Gilmour from Pink Floyd.
Really?
Which we've now gotten 2 from.
Wow.
And we've got a great review from Tone Loc.
Who's
listening to the station.
So there's an opposite end of the musical
So, I mean, it's
spectrum.
really just kind of weird, and all of a sudden you go, oh, yeah, there's people listening in other countries, man.
You just don't know.
This is like you were listening to Casey in 1974.
That's exactly right. I actually said that on the air the other day. I said, it's interesting. This is kind of like a time warp in that
it is.
You start listening to the rock, and suddenly you're back around 1967, 8, 9, when there's just this ton of music coming at you. A lot of it you may not be familiar with because it's a deeper track on an album. And there's no BS going on. It's just, let's talk about the music because that's what it's there for.
Right.
I mean,
you don't turn and pull albums out, but still you get to choose based on your mood. That's great.
Yeah, you can manipulate the music. You can manipulate the music as much as you care to.
That's wonderful.
if there's a good looking set there and you want to do 3 in a row of a theme, or I'm doing my daily dose of the blues, which I pick that track every day about 11:45 before I go off.
Yeah, so that's what was taken out.
Well, Loan Me a Dime actually hasn't been played yet, but I suspect somewhere along the line the pressure is going to be
there. It's
a
Habeck tradition. You got to do it.
It seems like first they went from top 40 in our generation. They went from top 40, took out the personality, and then the progressive rock. Then they took out the ability to play your own sets. So it kind of lost the driver's seat. The DJ lost.
The DJ was no longer really a DJ.
Jim Ladd out in Los Angeles, who we all know.
You worked with him, didn't you?
I did work with him at KMET, and he put it succinctly, I thought. He said, consultants are the guys who silenced the tribal drum.
That's absolutely right.
So when you've got a guy sitting behind an oak desk in Atlanta, Georgia, telling you what to play in St. Louis, and we all know St. Louis is a very wide open market musically because of the Casey history. I mean, it just didn't make any sense.
It's just politics.
When all of a sudden, I mean, look at Casey now. I mean, great radio station, no doubt about it. Almost 50 years old, but they're playing, 500 songs?
Right.
50 years of history, and you're playing 500 songs.
I'm thinking to myself, formulatic approach.
A musical radio station, you're there for the music, but the same 500 songs doesn't make any sense. No. We are already rotating over 4,500 songs.
Oh, that's
adding
that's
more
Rich
all the time.
Dalton's fingers in the mix.
Well, actually, it's Al. It's Al Hofer.
Well, that's why I brought him in.
Right.
And I know John Stevens was up here. Now, John Stevens is a name that's going to be, he's a man behind the scenes, but we're all going to get to know this guy. He was up here, I don't know, a couple months ago.
Super
saying hello.
guy.
He's a terrific guy. And he's basically, the way I understand it is, he's not happy with radio, so he built his own radio station.
And he's just
he
a
wants
guy?
to listen.
He's not
a
a radio
listener.
guy.
Right. No.
Actually, he had a little history in radio early
Well,
on.
and he's got the technical background. He has a video production
He's got the
company,
video
so-
company,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. The best thing he did was bring in Rich Dalton and said, go
Sure.
do it.
You know what? The best thing you can do is let the people do what they do best.
Right,
And
yeah.
when
Well,
this
and you're
is what
right.
we're saying.
And
Once
that's-
the consultants, everybody else comes in and says, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
What do you got?
That's his whole philosophy.
Yeah.
Hire people who know what to do, know what to play, know what to say, how to do it, and let them do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, and
Ted-
suddenly you've got a St. Louis radio station on the
Yeah,
air.
Yes.
and it's wonderful to have your voice back on the air.
Well, thank you.
It's so great to be able to hear you again. And
It's not something I ever expected to do, actually.
This is
Since
true.
1995, I pretty much walked away, except
Yeah.
for a short stint with Al over at the Arch.
You know that by now you cannot escape radio. It's not something you can leave.
Sadly enough, it does get in your blood.
Yeah, that's for sure. I tried for how many years? 30 years?
But you know what? It's more fun now.
That's good.
I mean, it's equally, if not more fun than it was back in 67, 68, 69. I mean, I started in 71, but when I was at KC in 73, the station was 5 years old, and as you both remember,
Yeah, right.
there were no rules.
That's right.
We were flying
We
by the
made
seat
it
of
up
our
as-
pants.
exactly.
Had we known what we were doing at the time, we probably would have ruined it.
Exactly.
My thought, had we
That's
known.
true.
And it's kind of the same thing. We don't have any rules. We don't even have the FCC to answer to.
This
Oh,
is
well,
true.
that's
Yeah.
So,
even
I mean,
more
if you
amazing.
wanted to, you could be dropping the F-bomb all day long.
Yeah,
Not
but
that that's
out of
going to
respect
happen.
for your
Yeah, right.
No, you're not
listeners,
going to do that deliberately, certainly. But if it slips, you can
it's
laugh
done.
about it and let it go, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, I
Move
don't
on.
think it's happened yet, but sooner or later it probably will.
He's
But,
planning it.
you know.
He's
planning
No, I'm not
Don't think
planning
about
one.
pink
No, not
elephants.
planning
Yeah.
one. But,
Ted, thanks so much for coming by
No,
today.
it was my
to talk about
pleasure.
it.
Thanks for
Again,
having us
you're
in.
on The Rock, and it is theroots.fm.
you can go to either ourmusicalroots.com or theroots.fm, and that'll take you to all three stations, the Jazz Station, Radio Rich's station, and The Rock. And The Rock is myself, Al Hofer, Michelle Holliday, Katie Cruz. And then you got a ton of personalities on the Jazz Station. Chris Kelly in there is, you know that name from KZK. Bill Poole, who's been around St. Louis
Bill,
Radio for a
that's
long time,
great.
is doing
Good
some
for him.
stuff over there. So you can check out all the different people that are on the different stations and see what's going on. The cool thing about it is, we all know the one thing that ruins commercial radio, as soon as they hear
Is
a
the
talk,
commercials.
they know there's commercials coming up,
Yeah.
right? Which you have to support
Sure.
it financially,
Yes,
obviously.
yes.
But when you're talking about doing a maximum of 2, maybe 4 minutes an hour,
Back,
Wow.
but that is back.
I mean,
the old
that's a
days.
godsend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely music-driven
That's
radio,
great.
and that's what's cool about
I mean,
it.
honestly, it's better than Pandora's commercial station.
Well, I hear stuff that we're playing that even I go, I don't know this song. And you and I,
And that's
we've,
good.
we've all been in the business
Yeah.
40 some odd years, and yet there's still things out there that I don't remember.
That's true. That's
And
the
I don't know
charm.
if it's just
That's
my
the
mental capacity that's
Yeah, yeah.
diminishing or the
You
fact that I
heard
don't
it,
know those
Ted.
songs. But
charm. All right, you guys, you radio people, you're going to go on forever
Anyway,
if I
we
let
love
you.
you, Ted. I'm so glad to see you.
well, it's great to come in, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks to Abusi Michelli Insurance, continuously working to provide the individual coverage you require. They also handle commercial life and health insurance. Contact Tina Michelli at 314-832-6667.